There we go. There she goes. She's a little annoying. So the goal today is to make sure that I can really give you the tactical and tangible things to either correlate these networking activities to make money in your businesses, but also correlate the networking activities to see if you'd like to help me in my networking concierge activities as well. So the goal is to go through everything from soup to nuts, kind of introduce ourselves, but also get the tactical things at the very end of that. Sound good? Okay, I accidentally had a double espresso and not a regular coffee today, so you're welcome, everybody, because I don't know where this is gonna go, but it's enough that you should be concerned. Okay, cool. Let's let me share my screen here. I do this all the time. You think I would be able to do this faster? Nope. Dear Lord, it's from beginning. Oh my God. Hold on. One. Okay. All right, awesome. So here's my dumb face again, but thank you again to Jason Rinaldi. So this is how to become a networking concierge, obviously 2023. So I always like to start my presentations with self-deprecating fun facts about me because I've made some bad life decisions in the past, and it gets everybody understanding that you don't have to be completely with it before you start anything. So I'm originally from North Jersey, if I haven't had the pleasure and privilege of meeting you, but I talk very fast. It's the coffee problem that I also have. We have the best bagels in New Jersey. I will fight anybody else. Stephen, I know you're not from the States, but we've got really good bagels here because of the Jews and the Italians. And I'm in Texas now, and I hate every minute of it when I can't have a good bagel. So it's my own first world problems. All right, in my background, I was previously a celebrity personal assistant, which just means I have a lot of therapy bills. Those celebrities, I'll show you in another screen. I signed an NDA somewhere, but doesn't mean I can't show you accidental pictures of who they are and all the trauma that comes with it, because those are fun stories. All right, so that was in New York City. I competed in CrossFit competitions. I couldn't lift an iPod right now, but I did cool things when I, had more time. I could deadlift 225 pounds, which just means that I could pick stuff up and put stuff down. Again, can't lift an iPod right now. Couldn't save anybody from a burning building either. I came in 31st place out of 34, which just means I survived. Didn't die. So yay. Karaoke champ 2016. Can I tell you how I won? I just outlasted the drunk people. That's really all it was. Somebody gave me an espresso martini, and that's how far I got. That's kind of really what happened there. And then as we go into the next session here, let's go through, whoops. I've been in 12 movies as an extra. So my beginnings, I started working in casting for a long period of time. I was doing television, print, and runway, and they couldn't pay me because I was an intern. So they put me as an extra on movies, which just means that I can sleep anywhere, because when you have 16 to 18 hours worth of being on set, you get the opportunity to, try to do your best, and you have to take micro naps, and that's exactly what I did. Cool. All right, so I once ate a Carolina Reaper. Does anybody know what a Carolina Reaper is? Dawn, tell the class what a Carolina Reaper is.
We had those in our gardens, but that's one of the most hottest peppers in the world. And you can Google it, and people pretty much go into hives or shock sometimes. So I'm like, how the heck did you eat that? Because I don't know why we even grew them in our garden one year. It was kind of silly. It's
kind of the worst life decision. And it was a dare. So you guys can tell where my decision-making skills are at, especially a couple years ago. So I only joke about these things, and everything on here is completely 100% serious, but I really want to set the tone for the rest of the presentation today, because you have to be silly. We work too damn hard to not be silly in some form or fashion. And half the time with networking, people, again, don't give a damn about what you do. They care about how you made them feel. And so if you can relate in some way by having these little fun facts just to talk about and lead with, you're going to be more of an interesting person moving forward. So if you give presentations, if you do podcasts, if someone asks you if you could talk about what you do, just come up with a few different facts that are interesting that people are going to want to continue to ask about, and then you can eventually go into business. So start trying to put this into practice moving forward, because it's worked like a gem for me. Okay, next, if we can just continue here. Oh, so here's just some fun facts to really tell you about my background, because this will also understand how I became a networking concierge, how I built the business, and the skill sets prior to when I was growing up that allowed for me to triple down in the business that I created. So if you have any kind of commonality here, take a look to see if something fits or something similar to what you've done, because those are really good skill sets to be able to network at a capacity that I'm doing at right now. So I'm really telling you just the fact that I was a team player because I used to play softball. I was born in, I was 30, I'm 35 now. I used to like to dress up a lot because I was a girly girl. And then I was accused of being a lesbian when I was softball. So, you know, just weird things that happen throughout your life. And then I'm joking, but as we go through, you can see I also work as a promotional representative for Alliance Liquors, Wines, and Spirits. I used to teach softball. And then again, I was a celebrity personal assistant with a bunch of hair colors. So the reason, again, why I bring up these weird ass facts about myself is because if you've got weird facts or if you've got a journey, that is going to be the identifier of how you show up in the world. So I want you to take a second just to think about some of these activities that you've done growing up and where those skill sets can transfer into your businesses, then also how you can communicate with a different perspective to another human. So all of these little things I've pulled up at some point in my life to build a relationship with another human being. So if you've got some of those in the back end of your mind, start kind of conceptualizing them to be able to communicate that effectively to somebody else. Again, these are commonality things. Okay. For some of you who don't know, I've had 25 jobs after I graduated college. I have never gotten fired. It's always been mergers and acquisitions and budget cuts, or I found something else. This is important to recognize here because for a lot of you, and even for me at the time, this can be completely debilitating. Figuring out where your value is, how you want to show up in the world, but also how are you being able to show that you can do a job and do it well for a longer period of time. This entire list, putting this together, was an incredibly emotional thing I had to put together because I saw the progress from where I just wanted just to be seen and I wasn't really being heard. Now you can't shut me up because I've got a lot of catching up to do, but there was a lot of opportunities here where I felt like, oh my gosh, I'm working for these high net worth individuals. I can't even sustain the kind of attention that I need to because I'm inexperienced. I'm not getting the right kind of managerial leadership. And I felt like my voice was not being heard. I felt like I could not speak without screaming or speak in general without people not necessarily taking me seriously. So all these little things really contributed to why I decided to build a business. So, you know, looking at all these things, I had to take a moment and say, okay, I had a come to Jesus moment when I don't even truly believe in Jesus, but I had a come to Jesus moment when it was, okay, how do I take every experience? What's the common theme? I'm working with people, I'm working in customer service, I worked as an assistant, right? These are all qualifying skills. However, what I didn't understand was how those were transferable and how I could then communicate to another human being that I had value because I was always in a support role. I was always asking for permission to do the thing or send the email or connect to that person. And it got to the point where I was really upset about how somebody else was depicting my future. And once that pivoted, it became a sprint to how can I make my voice be heard and how can I take opportunities instead of waiting for them. So this is an important lesson to anybody who's job hopped, who's ever thinking about moving into another position. The benefit of having this many positions is I'm able to intelligently speak to other industries, which means that I've got a leg up in saying, oh, I can have a commonality or at least understand it a little bit more. That as a networking concierge allows me to be fulfilled in my position because I'm able to speak intelligently to those industries, but then also communicate and showcase my client in a way that's necessary. So as we keep going through, this is the most I've talked about myself, by the way, so bear with me as I speed through this because my body hurts. Okay. Let's keep moving forward. So knowing yourself. Okay, so we're talking about knowing yourself. When you build a network, when you decide to, go out and try to make money through networking, you're really going to know how you show up, right? So I talked about this. I was tired of somebody else depicting my future. What is your why? Why do you do the things that you do? Why do you make those decisions? Why are you getting up every morning to make the next step? I failed a CrossFit. I used to do CrossFit. I talked about that. I failed a CrossFit test, passed the physical, screwed up on the written. And then that's when I started the business. That was my identifying factor. And that was my sign to, all right, I'm going to start doing something myself because I could not fathom working for somebody else and making somebody else money because it didn't matter how many days I took off. It didn't matter how many times I put in extra work because I was just the number to many of those companies. So, but the problem is that I was so inundated with, I can do whatever I want. or excuse me, I don't know what to do. I don't know where my skills are transferable. So I took the DISC assessment to be able to understand myself on how I make decisions. But then I took it a step further and I said, okay, what industries, as I look for another job, what industries am I never going to be able to work in? And so I was able to Google my DISC assessment results, and it gave me a direction to go. It was a phenomenal starting point to say, I'm never going to be here. I'm never going to be here. So as you're making transitions, as you're thinking about starting up your own thing, or if you're in your own thing, understand that understanding you and how you make decisions is going to give you a leg up on what services you provide, on being able to triple down on your strengths instead of trying to overcome every single stupid weakness you think you have. And it allows you to focus on the next step. So if you can, I'd be happy to share the link. It's a 1-2-3 test. You can take all of the assessments, 123test.com. You can take all of the assessments to see how you make decisions. So moving forward, I really needed an idea to get to the next step. So then I had to identify my core values. Now, core values were always told to me, right? Core values were always said like, hey, these are the core values of the business. This is where we're going to be going, blah, blah, all these things. I had zero idea of what my core values were because nobody ever asked, nobody ever gave a damn. And I truly did not know that that's what I needed to be able to get to the next step, or at least be comfortable in myself and confident in myself to make the right decisions because I was going off of these 5 core values. So if I looked at all of the things that I've done in my life that I've had the privilege to do in my life, being able to conceptualize them into 5 ideas allowed me to be able to push out content that surrounded that, allowed me to pick the right clients that also encompassed all of these values. And it allowed you to not say, hey, I am, just going to take on this client because they have one of these core values. Imagine having like 150 people that all resonate in some form or fashion with these values. That makes your time more applicable. That makes your efforts and your bandwidth more accessible. And now you're kind of going smarter, you're working smarter, not harder moving forward. So the first thing I would suggest you do is to take a DISC assessment and understand how you make decisions. The next is going and looking up the core values and being like, this resonates with me, and then identify why, right? So service. I've always been in a service mentality. I watched Scandal for 3 months and said, I want to be Olivia Pope. And that was before I had any confidence. And she was to be of service of people, right? Except she was a badass when she did it and she looked great and everything, right? That's what we all aspire to be in my head, in my brain. But the service component was always something that lived in me since I was growing up, since the very, very beginning. So that little girl that you saw kind of putzing around in like a costume is the one that was always trying to help somebody else and moving forward. Experience, providing amazing experience from the second they meet you until they die. And I'm very dramatic about this because when you decide to have an experience with somebody, it doesn't matter what you do, it matters what you say and how you make them feel, because that's going to be outlasting. And I want to give everybody on this call and everybody that I have the privilege of meeting a good experience where they feel like they walked away with something or they felt confident or positive. I don't care if they buy anything from me. I don't care if they become a partner. I want them to feel like they had an experience with me because it will resonate. That's what you should also be doing in your businesses as well. Balance. There's Carl and there's Deborah at a networking event who just sucks the life out of you. They are vampires, right? You're going to meet those people who have awful personalities, who have no idea how to interact with another human being. And maybe they're C-suite level. Maybe they're, selling candles at the back of their car. Who knows, right? To each their own. The goal is when you have balance and understanding how to navigate at a bar with sticky tables to at a 5-star restaurant, you're able to be able to talk intelligently and meet people where they're at. So that balance is really important to me. The curiosity, I genuinely am curious about all of your lives. It could be because I just want to know, because I'm very, nosy, but it's mostly because I want to know what makes you tick, how I can support you. And the curiosity part of it is because I selfishly get a chance to learn from somebody else who has a knowledge in a topic I don't have knowledge in. So what a privilege it is to be able to communicate with another human being about what they know, about their perspectives and story. How lucky are we to network, right? And then the knowledge, obviously knowing what you do and how you do it and how you're the best at it or how you're, the greatest at whatever you do. like knowledge is obviously power. So these are my 5 core values. You're welcome to take them, but I really would love if you could do a quick, not a quick exercise now, but take this into consideration with your businesses and having these core values. Okay. This was my actual office 7 years ago. I had no idea what I was doing. I knew that I enjoyed people and I had to learn the next step. I understood how to connect people because I have an intuition that I think I got from being the middle child in my family and being able to, and the parents who you could tell the difference between if they're mad or not by their breathing patterns. I think they call that trauma, but I turned that into a business. Anyway, as we keep moving forward here, what you'll be able to see is that you're tripling down on your strengths, right? From August, here's how I started. I left the position. I was working and selling custom software and got to the point where I said, how the hell did I get here? I used to work for celebrities and now I woke up and I'm selling custom software and I hate sales. I can't stand it. I can't stand asking for money. I'm Irish Catholic. I'd rather scrape my eyeballs in a cheese grater than ask for money, right? So when you triple down on strengths, I was saying, okay, I'm really good at media because I had a media background. I understand people. I want to learn. I have an interest in learning on more people. And then all I did, from August to December of 2017, I went to 3 to 5 networking events a week, and I burned myself out pretty fast, right? But all I did was learn about every industry I possibly could, just enough to get by. But then I also asked, who do you want to be introduced to? I didn't have any service offerings. I was working for a nonprofit at the time just to make ends meet. It was just, how can I help you? Because subconsciously, as somebody who was learning how to build confidence, I wanted to show that I could help them in some way, but I didn't really have any resources. I had just the knowledge of each other. And what I did was I matched them based off of industry, but then also based off of personality. I used to be an actor a long time ago. It didn't do really well, so I'm scratching the itch now. But the benefit of that was I was able to learn audiences, behaviors, things like that. And so that was a skill set I had no idea that I could then portray into my professional life. So all I did was, who do you want to be introduced to? And then I acted like Olivia Pope when I was insecure. Completely honestly and seriously here, when you're starting something new, sometimes you have to use other influences to get you over the hump and kind of disassociate from your own insecurities. And that's what I did. And then it eventually meshed into the person that you see today. But as you can see on every single one of these little bits here, I was not drinking heavily, but I didn't have enough money to pay for anything but beer. I had, these headphones were here trying to block out the cat crying because I had a cat that just wouldn't shut the hell up on every single conference call. And then I just, I had nothing. I had nothing, right? This was my office. But I built something based off of, I had nothing to lose, nothing. And nowadays, when you think about transitioning into a new position or even building up your own businesses in a way, think about what you have to lose. And really, are you not qualified to fix it? Come on. When was the last time you said, I can't handle this? When was the last time you said, I don't know how to fix this? Not a damn one of you, because you're on this call right now and either have a business or you've been in some kind of leadership position in some form or fashion. So just know to have faith in yourself to get things done and to fix it is way more comforting than trying to worry 4 times over before you even do the task. And that's what I did, is that I had to have confidence in myself to say, I can do this. Julie, Google Olivia Pope, go down TikTok Olivia Pope, and your life will be changed. It's insane. Sorry, she's posting things. Awesome. All right, as we keep moving forward, again, I'm talking through my journey so you can see the progression and then how I kind of transitioned. My very first video in 2017, I made out of my car in the parking lot of a Wegmans. I just started. I had an idea of what I was talking about. I had learned and gone to networking events and took advice from other gurus. And I said, let me just actually test this out. Let me test this out, because this seems too generic. This seems too bullshitty for me to go into a conversation, follow the rules. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, we're going to give you the most generic piece of content out there. And so I created my first video talking about how that was bullshit. Like, that feels gross. That feels too generic. And my biggest pet peeve with anybody that speaks in general, but not specific enough about how to get things done. So my entire mission moving forward was I enjoy educating. I truly enjoy it, but I also wanted to give the real life activity. I won't ever teach anything I haven't done before, tried and tested. And that way you're getting what you need without feeling like, oh, it's just somebody else telling you to build relationships, because it's not just that. And then the last video I did, 5 things I wish I knew before I switched careers. I was featured in one of the articles, and I'll show you how to get featured in articles and stuff, but they asked me to put a video together, and that, look at this. Trash, somewhat okay, right? But you just get started. That's the lesson here. All right, so keep moving forward. So if we look at the 6-year, no, okay. Understanding your audience. So here's the reality, okay? So now that you've done the DISC assessment, build your core values, have an understanding of who you are and how you make decisions. Now let's think about, at the very baseline, how are you building up the network? What people do you actually want to have communications with? Only people who care, who genuinely care. Okay, this is the foundation moving forward for all of you. Only people who genuinely care are going to talk to you and not at you. So as soon as you get that little message in your belly that says, hey, this person is just talking at me, move on. There are too many people out there that would be more than happy to have a serious conversation with you that you're going to get value of, and vice versa. Only people who genuinely care are going to help you anyway. Imagine the 5 people in your personal circles and professional circles that you can call right now that will hide the body. Those 5 people can then get tripled down into 50, into 150, and now you have an army. Now you have an army of people that will advocate for you when you're not in the room, that will say nice things when you're out and about, and that will refer you because they know they like and they trust you. And then the last one is, only people who genuinely care are going to ask you for realistic favors. They're not going to say, hey, I just met you yesterday. Can you buy my shit? Or can you please sponsor this for $4,500? Or can you do blah, blah, blah? They're not going to ask, they're going to ask you, would you mind sharing this article that I was featured in? Would you mind making this introduction to somebody that I've met before? Oh, I'm getting invited to an event. Would you like to come with me? These are realistic favors, okay? Realistic. These take no money. It takes less than 5 minutes to do. That is a realistic favor. So as we talk about the kinds of people that you want, this is the foundation. This is the boundary. This is the standard moving forward. If someone comes into your life that you have the pleasure and privilege of meeting and they don't hit these 3 things, they do not belong in your network, because that is going to be the #1 thing that helps you in your business and in your life. So if we think about building an army of people, ideally, we want to build 150 people in our network. You want to go over that. And the reason being is not because I just came up with a random number, is because it actually comes from British anthropologist Robin Dunbar. According to this theory, our brains, our chemical brains, can only handle 5. The tightest circles just has 5 people. 5 people, those are loved ones. Then you've got a successive layer of 15 good friends, 50 friends, 150 meaningful contacts, which is what we're talking about here, 500 acquaintances, and then like 1,500 people that you can recognize. People will come in and out of these layers. They'll come in and out, in and out, in and out. But if you exceed 150, the network is unlikely to last long or cohere well. Okay, so you don't want to exceed too much. Cool, let's keep moving forward. La la la, do. All right, here are the current problems, okay? This is what, so let's kind of go back. The very first client I ever got was on accident. I had left my job working for an organization that was selling custom software, and I, for the first time, did not have a backup. It was such a toxic environment that I had to leave. So between that, I went to a networking event with, I don't know if anybody has done Todd Hessbacher's networking at the Phillies games in Philadelphia. If you haven't, you need to go. They're so much fun. The benefit of that was I went and I had nothing to sell. I had nothing. I wanted to go to a game. I wanted to network and just enjoy people and just talk. That's it. That's all I wanted. I wanted human interaction because I was in such a bad state. And so I took a step back after walking around that environment, and I said, okay, I'm a smart person, even though everything is telling me that I'm not. I'm a smart person. Let's bring it back to the basics. What does everybody here have in common? Well, they're in sales, they're professionals, they're business people, whatever. Okay. What problem do they have? collectively, like when you go to an event, what problem do they have? I don't have that answer. Let me find out. So I went around to each person and I said, hey, what sucks for you about networking? What do you hate? Right? Trying to get an emotion out of them to figure out what they hate about it. Oh, I hate going to events. Why? Tell me why you hate going to events. Because I don't know which ones to go to. I hate the small talk. Okay. Next person. When you go to events, do you hate the small talk? Oh, no. I just hate the follow-up. I hate doing the follow-up afterwards. I hate wasting my time going to events when the people there are not the right people. They also hate attending on their own because either they're in leadership positions and they're introverts, and the small talk is actually debilitating, which there's zero wrong with that, by the way. And if you consider yourself an introvert on this call, great. You're a better networker than all the other extroverts, myself included. And I'll tell you why. Is because when you interact with somebody else, a person, a single person, you are more intentionally driven to the conversation than extroverts. Because extroverts are able to manage other people's, a bunch of different people all at once, but you are incredibly intentional about what you say, about who you meet, and you're more quality over quantity. Okay, that is incredibly important and a skill that you should triple down on. So when you think about the networking component, when you think about your own businesses, what in the world that you want to be in, what problem can you fix? And I didn't have the answer, so I asked. And what ended up happening was I walked around and somebody came over and said, hey, would you ever network for someone at a book signing? I said, sure. He's like, okay, give me a call in about 2 weeks and yeah, we'll set something up. Okay. So in 2 weeks, I had a website. I had almost headshots. I had a master services agreement. I had business cards and I had an LLC, liability insurance and everything else. It was a duct taped business put together in 2 weeks. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because it was the first time, and I'm sure all of my ladies who've been in and all of my men who've been in service industries, there's so much red tape that goes into making any decision. But it was the first time in my adult life that everything got done on time and on budget. In 2 weeks, I had a business. 2, that's it. It had things to fix, but there was enough where that person who watched me saw me do my thing and believed in me before I even had anything. That's happened one other time in my life. They changed my life. This gentleman also changed my life. So 2 weeks later, give him a call. I said, hey, sure, where are you going? Because I think I charged him maybe $20 an hour. Maybe. It was very, very little. I drove 4 hours there. I went to State College. He was at a event where he was book signing, and he wanted me to network with individuals, a part of that organization. And I didn't have to sell anything. He had a team who was going to follow up because I'm not good at sales. I hate it. And so the benefit of that was I drove back. I gave him all the information. But what I added is I knew what the positions that they held, but I wanted to get them to know them personally. So I added in, daughter just won the spelling bee, has 2 cats and a dog named Boomer, has like little things about him that allowed his team to send out a personalized email afterwards to be able to gain business. And all I did was talk to them like they were human. That's when the world opened up for me. The reason why I'm telling you that is because it took one person to be able to establish the value that I had before I even saw it. When you think about your businesses, I showed up for the first time in a decade more authentically myself at that event than anywhere else. And the first thing that happened was somebody said, I see you. So when you decide to build your businesses and grow your businesses, if you are not yourself from the very beginning, you're going to get haters, you're going to get trolls, you're going to get people that says, why do you suck in all of your language? I'm like, ma'am, calm it down, please. I curse at my events because I say it with passion, not out of disrespect. It's everything to do with how that makes me enjoy what I do for a living. It took one person to see my value. Imagine having 150 people like that. Okay, so as we continue, I talked about this. You have an audience, I'm building an army, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so it takes one person. So Marty McDonald from Bad Rhino was one of my first guests on a show called RVN TV called Connect to Success. The way that I used my medium, I love video. I had a film degree. And so I was able to educate. I hate writing. Don't ask me to write. I hate writing. But the video portion was where I was tripling down on my strengths. So I had the pleasure and the privilege of interviewing people on their tactical tips and practical takeaways in networking on the show. How I got the show was I called up the office trying to get somebody, one of my clients, on their shows to get interviewed. And I asked about that, just putting on my assistant hat. And then I hit it off with the producer because we talked about everything but business. And that's how they offered me a show. And I was there for 2.5 years and sold one of them. I had 2 shows. Okay. That's how it happened, because I was authentically myself and being of service to somebody else. That show has catapulted a lot of wonderful connections that I've made. But what I'm trying to tell you is that find your medium of how you educate. It could be writing, it could be podcasting, it could be whatever it is, like go ham on it, because you're going to have more fun doing it and you're going to be able to reach a broader audience based off of those core values. But this allowed me to find my ideal persona. We know how to do this. You're all in business. You conduct market research. I went around and asked people what sucks. I developed a buyer persona. I interviewed every single person I could on their networking tactical tips. And then I used the data that I got to be able to create service offerings based off of the needs, not what I think they needed. Okay, let's keep going. So, okay. So when you add in your service offerings, right, here's the model. And I learned this is not original. I learned this from a buddy of mine who runs a podcast chef. He's brilliant. His name is Sean Boyce. He's one of my very close friends. I was just in Aruba. Okay. I was just in Aruba and I was there for their wedding. And that gentleman also saved my life in a way that insane. Here's what he said. You build 3 different kinds of service offerings. Show me, teach me, do it for me. I want to show you how to do this. I can either show you how you do it, I can teach you how to do it, or I can do it for you. That's how you line up all of your services. So I created a teachable thing to teach people. So they have a 70-minute course they can take. I can teach them by going into their offices or going into their groups, and I can, put together an entire presentation based off of their DISC profiles on how they network. And then I can do it for you, which means I can go to events on your behalf. This whole string, the show me, teach me, do it for me, got changed on a yearly basis based off of the needs of my clients. Now I've got it completely solidified over the past 2.5 years because I see where the need has been. But that took a lot of research. It took a lot of understanding the actual need and where my bandwidth could be. So when you think about networking for a living, when you think about doing this for your own businesses, how are you teaching? Are you teaching through video, teaching through podcasts? Like, you have to have a teachable moment so people can say, oh, I'd love to buy your stuff. I can't really do one-on-ones with you, but I'd love to just take your course. So it could be a course. It could be, hey, here's my podcast. It's got 50 episodes. Go for it. That's a free takeaway, right? That can still be a service offering in some way. And then the do it for me, obviously, is your greater package. So when you think about building up your own businesses, whatever, this model works. So how do you service your audience, right? So who are you networking with? We all know that you want to network with people that you know, you like, and you trust, but that takes time to build. These are the 3 categories. Do not divert from these categories and keep it simple, keep it moving. First one, strategic partners. We all know these people that you can advocate with, they could share clients with, right? When you share clients with people, what you do is you're able to refer. So for example, a real estate agent and a divorce lawyer are fantastic strategic partners. Why? Because if you're getting divorced, you're either upsizing or downgrading. Okay, that means you can share. Amy's cracking up. That means you can share people throughout the process. So how do you build a network effectively in this area? By building strategic partnerships. You keep a list, and we'll go through what that A and B team looks like. You keep a list of people that you know you can communicate. So you're building networking equity. Networking equity is communicating and connecting people based off of their industry and also on their personality. So that way they're going to want to connect you with somebody new. Here's the thing though, what I see with a lot of people when you're making connections, you're making introductions, a referral is different than an introduction. A referral, your reputation is based upon that. An introduction is an introduction. So when you're building up your strategic partnerships, if you were to go and grab all those people that you have on your list so far and say, I want to go to Cabo and rent out an entire mansion, this is so far-fetched, but rent out an entire mansion and you feel comfortable hanging out with all of them, that's your A team. When you're building up your current network, there's going to be people that can come in and out of those slots, but recognize that if you're going to build up your network, they got to be able to help each other. So that way, when you look up their LinkedIn profile and you see groups of people, you know what circles they hang into. Then you're able to kind of connect with them in that way. So strategic partnerships, subject matter experts, and current network. Subject matter experts are self-explanatory because they have a niche market that you can then learn from. So that's who you should be following on LinkedIn right now. How to communicate effectively. Where are we on time? Oh my God, I talked too much. We're going to get to it in the end. Communicating effectively. We all know these things. I'm not going to go through it. I'll be happy to send these slides to you folks afterwards. But like how to make your name memorable, ending the conversation with the future in mind, planning structured next step conversations, forgetting your 30-second pitch. These are things, and I'd be happy to go through them, of how to communicate effectively when you're talking to somebody. You all know what you're doing. All I'm doing is having and keeping more things in your mind. And then we can use things called deep, meaningful business conversation questions to be able to ask the right questions, to build up that networking equity, to put them on those lists. So that way you're now communicating effectively. All good? Okay. You guys are welcome to drop any questions you have in the chat. Okay. So we can kind of answer them. So here, remember I talked about the A and the B team, right? This is step 3, planning your work. So step 3 is the LinkedIn sharing pod. This is the A and the B team. I would be LinkedIn sharing pod and the A and the B team. I will send this over to you. It's a free template to build your A and B team. What you'll be doing is you're going through and let me see if I have a link. I should. I don't. God damn it. All right. So the A and the B team is where you have the first column is all of the links, all of the LinkedIn industry links, or excuse me, all of the LinkedIn industry names. The first column, you drop them all in. Then here's the exercise. You take a pass at it. Oh, I see architecture and marketing and advertising. Okay, who do I think of first? Drop that name in, right? That's the first pass. I don't care if it's 2 people. I don't care if it's 250 people. Do a first pass. The B team are the people that you know and you like, right? Know, like, and trust is A. Know and you like is B. You go to LinkedIn, search by the industry, and say, oh, okay, I remember that Carrie did this or Rondell did this. Oh, maybe she moved businesses. Let me add her to it. The goal is if you smile when you see their name, they get added to the list. Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. I don't care if they've got 30,000 LinkedIn connections. I don't give a damn. If you don't smile when you see their names, move on. So that's the A and the B team. These are DMBCs, deep, meaningful business conversation questions. These are things that I ask primarily through every, let's say, Zoom meeting that I have, and also every time that I meet somebody for the first time, the privilege that I have to meet somebody for the first time. Here are 2 of my favorites. When someone picks up the phone to call you, what problem are they having? That allows you to then guide the conversation in a way that's intentional. And then, what are you struggling with the most right now? Why I ask that is because, guess what? You have your A and your B team. I'm struggling right now with payroll. I'm looking for a virtual assistant. I'm looking for, a digital marketer. Fantastic. Guess what? I've got 3 people I'd be happy to make introductions to. That A and that B team allow you to take that sometimes trash brain comes over and you forget who you have in your team. That's why you have that list available for you so you can make that introduction right away. That allows you to build networking equity and becomes people will reach out to you to say, hey, I know that you're working in this business, but do you know a guy? Being the guy that knows the guy is a very, very powerful thing, but is a very humbling and community-driven experience. Because if someone could come to you and say, I'm struggling with my business, I need some additional help, I get more people sent to me in that way that I can give them resources and tools and things that I've curated to help them in some form or fashion, because that gives me the most joy. Am I selling them anything? No. But in a year when they're in their new position, then maybe I encourage them or give them a different perspective too. They're going to remember me and say, can we have Ash come speak at the conference? You do that enough times throughout the week, you are going to build such a powerful network that they will not let you fail. I'm going to keep moving forward, but there's a story I do want to tell you guys, is that when I got separated in November of 2019, which was, 4 months before the world exploded. And I was alone for the first time in a decade. Didn't tell anybody, because again, Irish Catholic, insecure, just wanted to keep it moving. By the way, it's congratulations, not are you okay? Just lay that out there. So I reached out to about 60 people on my network on a list I had because I curated the top 60 people that I really enjoyed. And I said, hey, I would like to know if does anybody have, access to individual health insurance, like for businesses, like small business health insurance, because I was coming off my exes. Within 13 minutes, I had 10 emails, 4 phone calls, 7 text messages saying, what do you need? Some of them knew, some of them didn't. But they said, what do you need? We heard, what do you need? I don't need anything, guys, I'm good. What? I get yelled at a lot. What do you need? Well, in about a month, unless I get the PPP loan, I might have to move back in with my sister. I might have to do this, I might have to do that. And they said, absolutely not. We got you covered. What are you talking about? We've got you covered. And my network wouldn't let me fail. In my head, I thought I had failed. They wouldn't let me. When you've got a community of people that you would advocate for, that you would fight for, you will fight for them tenfold before you can even think about them fighting for you. That saved my life. So when you think about the privilege you have talking to another human being, your perspective, your encouragement, your anything could potentially change the trajectory of their lives. So how privileged are we to be able to communicate effectively to these people and to connect in a way that we never thought could potentially give them what they needed? But it's your job to create a lucrative group of people, build those relationships to be able to do that. Because they will fight for you when you need it the most. It's not just about your business, it's also about your livelihood. So these are a couple things to actually post on LinkedIn. We're going to do a quick exercise right now. This is called the E3 method. The E3 method is when you do something on LinkedIn every single day. You're going to extract a story. You're going to educate on the lesson learned from that story, and you're going to entertain. Here's an example. Do not take this so seriously. You're going and like looking at Harvard Business Review and you're saying, I need to be able to give metrics and things. I don't give a damn. I wrote a post about an alien coming down and talking about networking. That's what I wrote. And that worked. I got 2 meetings out of that. I wrote about how the people are just shooting the aliens out of the sky when they probably just coming down to network with us. So when you meet an alien, what are 3 questions you can ask to network with, right? Ridiculous post. Ridiculous. And I got more people messaging me and texting me being like, you're out of your mind. I'm like, that's right, but you laughed and you called me, didn't you? So I want you to be authentic in the way that you're communicating. Take a picture from your phone and figure out a way to extract a story from it, whether it's leadership, whether it's those 5 core values. Here's a tip. Take those 5 core values and every single day, the theme of that post is that core value. 5 days a week. First day is service. How are you of service to somebody today? Second day is I forget knowledge, curiosity, all those things. Now you've got something you're being posting consistent every day. That is how you are educating. Your network is going to see that. Your people are going to be excited about it. And they're going to be able to say, oh, you're a thought leader. I like what she says. I like what she does. I feel comfortable enough reaching out to her. I've had more times that has happened than any other area. So when I started the business, all I did was connect, celebrate, and collaborate on LinkedIn. Every day, 2 to 3 posts a day in some form or fashion, because I wanted to make sure my people knew that I cared about them, that I knew that what they were doing and how I can support them even further. That's how you're building a network that will trust you to help them. The next is the $1.80 method. I know that this is a little bit more of on the marketing side, but I can go through that later. The $1.80 method is actually going through, and I can send you the links over later because I know we're running out of time. But those $1.80 methods are so important because what you're doing is you're following the top 10 hashtags on LinkedIn. You're going to the posts that have the most engagements that are relevant to your field, and you're commenting thoughtfully. Once you comment thoughtfully, somebody's going to reach out to you and connect in some form or fashion. When you accept the connection, if they're based off of those 5 strategic partner industries that you're talking about, and they match up with that, then you open the door for a 15-minute conversation. When that conversation happens, you're sending them a DM, you're booking a call. You can add these leads to a newsletter, you can add them to a CRM, and you can have 6 points of follow-up. I have all of that written out, all of the SOPs for that. The reason why you do this is because you're allowing yourself to do 2 activities. You're going to do activity on LinkedIn You're going to request a phone call. Once you take that call, everything else is Gucci. Everything else is just a well-oiled machine. And now your people are seeing and connecting in some way, and you're staying top of mind, and you're providing value. Every single follow-up had something free in it. Resources I gathered from another influencer that I did stuff with, an introduction to an event that's going on. Hey, I saw this article, I'd love to share it with you. But you have that all set up in a organically automated way. It becomes less of a detriment to like, how am I keeping up with people? Cami, yeah, that's when we did meet. I remember that day. Polka Dot Powerhouse, if you hadn't had a chance to go check that out, Cami was there when I said I left my job and I was starting something new. And at that time, I had 75 women all in pink give me a standing ovation. And I cried for 2 hours. So thanks, Cami, for just bringing that up because, you know, can't be vulnerable on this call. Thank you, Cami. Okay, so moving forward, here's what's happening. All conferences are coming back. So part of my current service offerings is I have the pleasure, wow, good morning, water might help. I have the pleasure and the privilege of training teams, which I do multiple times a year. I also speak a lot at conferences and I'm getting paid to speak. So this year has been an extraordinary amount of work in a great way. I love what I do. Every conference I go to, I've been closing two people at least. Currently, remember Marty McDonald from Bad Rhino? He was the very first client that I ever had. He's been an incredible supporter for me. Introduced me to a 6-figure client this year. So now I'm going to 20 plus events for this one person, which means I don't have all of the time in the world like I thought I would to take on multiple clients. Here's my problem. I like to keep all of my stuff very close to the chest until I was reminded recently by some people on this call that I am not Superwoman and I hate you all, but here's where we're at. I am really in need right now of additional support. I'm not talking marketing, I'm not talking sales. I need not duplicates of me. I need people who enjoy networking, who could potentially take these clients from me. And my job is to educate you on a way that the white glove, it's called the white glove service. And I have the playbook for it. I am hesitant to even have these webinars and to showcase this because I am, you know, my business is very close to my chest. But nothing made me happier than explaining this potential opportunity to some people on this call and their entire perspective and personas just opened up, and it was extraordinary to see. And then I wanted to put that to anyway. So my point, what I'm saying is I need help. So I'm realizing that my services since the conference are back and my lack of availability. I currently have, I think, 2 to 3 clients currently on the bench that I'm waiting to confirm because I need additional support if these time frames for people to go to events on their behalf availability is scarce at the moment. I also teach at Temple. I'm a Temple professor, so I do that. I speak at conferences and I train teams. There's only so much bandwidth I have, even with a VA. I've been hounded by a few people, and so now I'm pulling the trigger on this. Here's the thing. I cannot, in good conscience, set you up to fail, which means that I cannot, in good conscience, not teach you everything that I know about how to show up at an event, what time to get there, including just what shoes to bring from an Amazon wish list to making sure you got liquid IV in your bag. Like I've got the tips, right? But at the same time, setting expectations with the client, how to pitch the client. Ideally, that would close before I'm able to push it out. But I have to educate. I have to educate in a way that you can have the playbook and what's expected of you so you have success to be able to do this again. And so the reason why I'm saying this is because I'm putting together a masterclass for 6 weeks. This masterclass is going to go through literally everything I possibly can to either set you up in your businesses in this. So everything's transferable, either in your businesses to be able to make money with networking or to be able to network better. So this 6-week course is going to be breaking out all of the logistics, building your A and your B team, social media and finding your medium, using tools like Haro and a few others that I found. I've got so many resources to get you up and running in 6 weeks, or ideally 6 weeks. And the goal is to make sure you have the exact playbook so then I can feel comfortable once you're certified. I can feel comfortable referring you to people. to be able to do this. And so we would work together as a team. We would work together to, I can help you manage it. I can help you go to the next steps, but I don't want to say no to business when I know there's plenty of people out there that with the right training can just crush it. And now I build my little army, my army of badass people who can do this, and then we can all make money together. So that's the goal. So the way that I'm breaking down the 6-week class is I'm going through, and it's all very, 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 it's built out. It just needs to be pushed out. So week 1, week 2, emotional intelligence and ROI. So what ROI is on every single week. So that way, when you do purchase, or when you do put the investment in, you're actually seeing, okay, can this be transferred into being a networking concierge, or should I transfer this into my own businesses? So it's all laid out there for you. The next is identifying your industry and your personal brand. You may already have this. We're going to tweak it. I'm going to bring in experts on all of the things, not just my stuff. I'm going to give you the logistics and how to do it, but I'm going to bring in experts on LinkedIn social media, personal branding, even a personal stylist who runs who's in a leadership. Sorry, she trains leadership teams, and she has a couple TV shows. And I would love to bring her in to be like, what do I wear to a conference that makes me stand out? What colors do I wear? Just everything that I would have needed in the beginning. I'm trying to be like, hey, 6 weeks, we're going to pile it all in and make it work for you. So that's, and then the 5 and 6 week is that you are finding how to find the right conference or event. I would walk you all through it, and then logistics and operations, what to do when you get there, some good tips, and being able to give the playbook. So all of this makes sense. So does anybody have any questions on that? I've talked so much. Please, somebody give me a break. Any feedback on the masterclass? Hi, Amy.
Hi. Do you just wait for people to take themselves off of mute and then you're like, oh, pounce?
Yeah.
Just kidding.
I have a problem. I get excited. Yeah.
So this is, there was actually a question in the chat, and it was a question that I was looking for as well. Are you looking for people for the masterclass to take on full-time or part-time? Like ultimately for you to build your army, would you want?
Sure.
Would you want?
Part-time. It would be as the things come in, as the opportunities come in, because I'm going to conferences and I'm talking to other people and I'm getting referred. I don't want to diminish my brand by saying no. I want to enhance it by saying yes, and I want to set you all up for success here. So ideally, because of this one enterprise client I have, I'm privileged to be able to build this out and not worry as much as I used to worry and be in survival mode in some way. But that means I also got to prep for next year too, right? So like, I don't want to say no. I want to build those relationships with the current people. And then what ends up happening is when you start, let me tell you, when you start telling people you do this at any conference, they freak out. I went to 2 conferences and I'm taking on too many people. But the goal would be is you can also publicize this yourself. You wouldn't be calling yourself a networking concierge because that's trademarked, but we would call you something else in a way. And that way you also get access to a Facebook group that, hey, I just got this deal, but I'll be in Kansas for this conference. Who wants to take it? And that way everyone's been certified, you've been through the class, and now we can all just build it up and then share leads and share links and the whole thing. So that is my dream, is to be able to say, ladies and gentlemen, go. I trust you to take it on. And then I would also help you handle any of the negotiations and all the logistics around that too, because I don't want you to have to worry about that. But yes, a part-time thing. And you would be more of a 1099. However, I'm working with the CPA right now because I don't want you to feel like you need to create your own LLC, because you're not going to be an employee of me. The goal is we're going to be referral partners, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Cool. Any other questions on that?
Yeah, I had thank you. Amy actually read my question from the chat there too. I was asking that. I also wanted to know, like, how long is your typical engagement with a client?
Sure.
And then just one more question after that. And because I was kind of prepping for my next meeting as you were talking at the end of this with the masterclass. What's the investment for that?
Oh, the investment. Oh, here, I'll show you. So let's go back to your first question. What is the typical engagement with a client? So if they're doing a conference, it's typically 3 days. If they are doing an event, it's typically a day with travel a day before. If it's so I'm always going to encourage all of you, if you enjoy speaking, I've got plenty of resources for you to start. If you enjoy podcasting, I've got plenty of resources for you to start. If you enjoy being on TV, I've got plenty of, I'm going to give you everything I can, so that way you can push yourself out. Also, with a couple other tips I learned about how to get yourself published on a few things. My VA is going to offer some free hours to anybody that joins. So that way she can say, hey, like, I've got a couple extra people, you know, that's potential business for her, but she also knows my processes. So you don't have to reteach her anything. So to go back to your question, so today what I'm offering is this is the bonus for the investment. So you're getting the networking audit, which means you get a one-on-one with me, and I go through what you're doing, what's working, what's not working, and doing a full report on your DISC assessment and your networking activities. So that typically is like the teach me package, or the show me package. That typically is the show me package. And then the next is I have a chat GPT. Wait until I teach you what I learned off of TikTok on chat GPT. The amount of time I've saved, and you can thank Stephen Thompson for this. He is a phenomenal human. He specializes in social media, and I learned so much, and I'm going to show you what I do with that. And then the 365 free business tools, because we all like saving a penny. And if I can save you some resources by like not buying all the apps, here's like 365 tools that I found that work that you can use for your own businesses. So everything can be transferable. The point that I'm trying to make, and Audra, to answer your question, is that the course, I was going to make it so that way anybody that took it just became a networking concierge, but that's stupid because everything is transferable. So that allows you to be able to use it, but anybody that completes it has the opportunity to be able to refer the business that's coming in for me. Does that make sense?
Yes, but but what was, so this is what the things are valued at, the bonus.
Oh yeah,
the actual masterclass. Oh, 2,500.
2,500, yeah, for 6 weeks. And here is what you end up getting. You get a 74-page workbook. You've got the How to Not Stop Working virtual class that also comes with it. But the bonus for today, if you purchase today, goes into that previous slide. You get a complete walkthrough of any and all automation that I built using Calendly, using Zapier, things that I can show you, like, hey, do you have a newsletter? Let me just show you what I did. And that way you can use it for yourself. And then I got speakers that are coming in a chat, people that I actually like, because how many times have you seen speakers that you're like, I could have Googled what you just drives me crazy. And then you get access to me 24/7 with via text, email, and a private Facebook group. And then you get 6 hours of a dedicated group workshops recorded and recapped afterwards. So there's a lot that goes into it. I am a big component of you leaving with something you can actually use. Teaching at Temple allowed me to kind of dumb things a little bit down for some of my kids. This is going to be for people who understand the value, who want to go to the next step, but also I'm giving you the entire playbook. Like, you're going to have it, even if you don't pay attention, let's say one of those hours, you're going to have a recap. You're going to have everything that you need.
Okay. Thank you.
You're very, very welcome. Oh, goodness. So now that that's over, how is everybody doing?
Great. And I really am glad to see. I saw you a long time ago at one of our Polka Dot Powerhouse meetings in Pottstown at the Coventry Mall.
Oh my, that was my first speaking engagement.
Yeah, and you were great then, and I've been following you on LinkedIn and stuff. And
can I tell you that Pottstown place was great?
They still are. We still meet.
Oh, you guys are still there? Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
We're not at the Coventry Mall anymore. We're at Brookside Country Club, but we're still meeting. We're still an awesome group.
I'm obsessed. That's so fantastic. That's so fantastic. Oh my God, what a blast from the past. Holy cow. Oh my goodness. Well, folks, look, that is, so to anybody any questions on these tools, you're going to get a recap. That's the link to purchase the course. For today, I'm offering all of those free tools from the first essentials session here. But please let me know if you have any questions about it.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome, Audra.
Fabulous.
Have a good one, everybody. Connect with me on LinkedIn if you want.
Yes, please.
I have a question.
Of course.
Yeah, so to build this up, a person has to be able to take off time, daytime hours to attend these conferences and events.
They can.
So it would be, so if a person were to take on a full-time job and then try to add this in it, that may not be compatible.
It may not be compatible for the white glove service, correct? But this is compatible for your business as well. So like you can take the same stuff that I'm talking about and then implement it into your own networking strategy. What I'm doing is once they get certified as a networking concierge, then I'm going to give them the playbook of like, okay, now with this client, they're going to be on the onboarding call with the client. We're going to go through the takeaways, but they're going to have all the necessary soft and hard skills to be able to produce they need to produce. So it's both. So for example, the 6-week masterclass is how you can build your network and how to make money off of networking in your own businesses. And then anybody that completes it that wants to be able to get referred on the white glove aspect of my business is completely willing to. I can't in good conscience say like, hey, Carrie, she wants to be a networking concierge. She didn't go through the class. And now she's, she wants to be referred as a white glove concierge. Like I couldn't in good conscience do that to the client, because what they're seeing is they think that they have me. And the goal is to start talking about how I have a team to be able to do it. And I'll be matching them off of personality. That's the goal.
And then is the Facebook group or our group, is there an ongoing group component to the certification? Did you say something about that?
Absolutely. You guys have access to the group for a lifetime membership, so we can put in posts and stuff like that in. So the goal is, the bonus is that once you complete it, you get the option of becoming getting referred at that capacity. But then we've got an entire group that's completely exclusive to anybody that goes to the course.
So there's 2 different groups is what you're saying?
No, one group.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, one group. The goal is to build a community of people that feel comfortable enough to say like, hey, I just left my job. I went through your course. Can I have, are there any opportunities available? And I'll feel more comfortable saying yes to that once you go through the course.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool.
Awesome. Any other questions, folks? Christy, what do you think? I haven't seen you in forever. My goodness.
I know, it's so good to see you.
Gosh, I love seeing faces. How are you doing? What's going on?
I'm good. I came to support you today and to see what you're doing, and I love your videos, and just you've got the energy that I need on most days, just like a tiny teacup full of your energy. That's what I need.
You're like, I just need half of that to make
just a shot glass every morning of Ashley.
Well, look, when you think about building up your own stuff and when you're I was so lost for so long, and I've had the privilege of working with all of you at some component and or fashion, and it has truly have been the best, and it was the best decision. As hard as entrepreneurship is, and as hard as people can sometimes make it, there was a point where it pivoted for me, and that being able to pivot came from lack of knowledge and support in the network, people who were more than happy to help. That was a hard pill to swallow, asking for help. But once I did, in my own way, sometimes I don't necessarily like asking for help, it opens up the doors to so many new things. So just know that that's the next step here.
Hey, Ashley.
Hi, Kevin.
Hey, question for you. Did you say you'd make the slides available in case we weren't able to write down fast enough? Great, that was super. And
Yeah.
number 2, what do you think you learned about yourself in the past 2.5 years that surprised you?
Sorry, my dogs are going crazy. 2 seconds. Dogs are going nuts. So what I've learned about myself over the last 2.5 years is that there is honestly, what I learned was there is nothing I can't do now. Like when you go through a pandemic, getting a divorce, not knowing where your business is going to go, trying to salvage friendships based off of making sure that I can support them in some way, and I always have. There is truly nothing that I won't say yes to, that I can have full confidence now that if it all goes to shit, I can figure it out. Like if I were to go through, I have a list of people on there's a board here, because some days you have imposter syndrome, right? There's a list over here to my right that I have write down people who have adamantly said more than a few times, you changed my life, you saved my life, you did X, Y, and Z, all these things, right? So something very nice that makes me uncomfortable even saying out loud, because this is my own insecurity. But I have to remind myself that if everything were to die tomorrow, like my business, my home, not my life, but like if everything were to go to shit tomorrow, I did enough. I was able to impact 5 people that's the only 5 people that have told me too, impact 5 people in a way that I have significantly enhanced or changed their life in a way that I could never truly put to words. And I have to take those moments to be graceful and to be appreciative of the fact that I'm doing something that is helping people and not just being of service. And so when I put these things together, when I build these classes together, has everything to do with the person. I'm going to give you all the shit that goes with it, but I want to know, I don't want you to be me. I want you to be you. I want you to be you. I want you to triple down on your personality. And my job is to navigate to, okay, so here's where you fit. Here's where we can make the most impact in what industry. So the biggest thing I've learned is there's truly nothing I can't do or nothing I can't figure out. Because I have my network that won't let me fail. That was the biggest lesson. And that is the biggest,
Good. Great.
biggest thing I could think of. Yeah. Thanks, Kevin. Hey, ladies, Christy. Hey, Kelly. Haven't seen you yet. Hi, Kelly. So guys, do you have any other questions? Is this something that you think you can do over the next few weeks? I mean, I'm trying to get this done for the summertime. So I know things are a little crazy and I'll be traveling, but I've got 3 current clients right now on the bench. And I got to be able to refer them over the next few weeks. And I also want to make sure that these things are aligned. So do you have any questions about the course?
I'm working to get you a name. Ladies, I gotta leave. Ashley,
Hi,
thanks as
Kevin. See you
always.
later. Always
Take
a
care.
pleasure. Thank you. Bye, Rhonda. See you later. Hi, ladies. Any questions?
I have a question.
Sure.
Okay, so I feel like when you were talking about your network, I feel like I know a lot of people, but I don't have, or at least I don't feel like I have the deep connections that you were talking about. Does that make sense?
It does. They take time, but it's also, when you think of your best friend, how would you describe her?
Oh, thoughtful, a good listener, present when I need her. We don't even live in the same city. We've been friends for 30 years, but we don't live in the same city. Kind, courteous, encouraging, smart, funny.
And how would she describe you?
Many of the same traits.
So when you think about the people that you have the privilege of meeting, it's about the experience that you meet them. Typically, you meet them where they're at, right? You meet people where they're at. Sometimes the high energy would be great for some people. Sometimes the low energy is even better for people, right? So you meet them where they're at. When you're building up relationships, what I've found is, and we talk about how to not pitch yourself into building those up, but it's the activity and the response to the happiness or the achievements in their life. So I've got a buddy whose name's James Corbett, and James works for Project Refit. I constantly send people that I think that are in the veteran space and the sponsor space, like, you gotta check out James. And the way that I talk about him is not on what he does, but who he is.
Okay. Yeah.
So it becomes more of a friend introducing a friend. But to go back, how I built that relationship with James is that he was in the same circle. So I would always make a point to say hello because he was in the same circles, but also his personality and his mission, I truly believed in. And when you truly believe in what somebody's doing, the way that you describe them becomes more of a personalized touch and more of an intentional way, rather than, oh, they just do payroll or they do this. My buddy Justin Deal was part of the same circles. I knew he did payroll, but the way that I describe him is like, you want to talk to Justin, he's the best man I know. He's just a good man.
Yeah.
What does he do? He does payroll, he'll take care of you, but let me tell you something, he's a good man. So I emphasize the person rather than the service.
Yeah.
Because it allows people to feel more attached. The way that you build that relationship, though, is that you get to pick the people. that you have the pleasure and the privilege of being around. So if you can't describe them in a way that is empathetic and personalized, then they probably don't necessarily belong in your network.
Yeah.
But you get to pick, which is exciting.
Yeah, I like that.
And the best part about this is you can also take people off that list if they have treated you in a way that you do not respect. The biggest challenge I see with some of my clients is they add everybody to their list and they truly don't have a nice thing to say about them. They just know them as something to do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah. No, I would agree.
Yep, I think you're
All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Christy. Have
It
a
was
great
so good to see you.
You too. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. All right. Bye.
Bye. Hey, Alyssa.
How are
I
you?
just saw your message.
I can't even, I don't even know what the heck happened. I don't know why I don't even know who Kelly Bandelos is, but in any case,